Hello everybody, I'm Logan Crawford and this is the award-winning TV talk show right here on Ebru Fresh Outlook. We have another candidate running for president. It's a woman, and no, her name is not Hillary. Her name is Carly Fiorina. She has announced her intentions to run, as has Dr. Ben Carson. He wants a job, and so does the sometime governor, sometime preacher, and sometime minstrel, Mike Huckabee. Take a listen.
And it was here that I became the first male in my entire family lineage to graduate from high school at the very same campus that stands today right down on Main Street. And it was from here that I went on to college at Ouachita Baptist University. And it was also here that I first ran for elected office when I ran for student council at Hope Junior High School.
A nice guy.
So it seems
after
perfectly
all.
fitting.
He's still kind of disgracing us if you read Clinton Cash, but we'll get into that in a little later. I am joined by the Fresh Outlook think tank, Jeanette Hoffman, Republican strategist who is plotting to take over the world, John Davenport, distinguished professor from Fordham University, and I am joined by the esteemed Dr. Bart Rossi, a political scientist and psychologist as well. Dr. Rossi, I'll talk with you first. What's your take on Mike Huckabee running? To me, he's got the cadence of a preacher, and even though I come from a Christian background, I don't like it.
Well, in 2008, I actually predicted that he would do very well when he was nowhere.
Okay.
And the reason was because I thought he had a winning personality. He's very comfortable being himself. He's actually funny. He's like a show, and he actually had his own show recently.
Exactly.
And I think that he's way too far right for a lot of people. He's so conservative, so extreme, that he may not even resonate with some Republicans. However, I think in the primaries and from an overall perspective, I think he's a very important person in this race. I think he could win because I think he'll get all the evangelicals and he'll get a lot of support. And if he presents himself as well as he did in 2008, he could be the nominee.
When you say winning personality, is that a psychological term?
When I say winning personality, I mean somebody who's comfortable in their own skin. Someone who's consistent, he's both of those. Someone who does not discard people, Romney with the 47%. And someone, most importantly, who listens. And if you met the person, that guy or that woman would listen to you. He has all those traits. He's very good at it.
And you notice I didn't interrupt you as you were saying that. Right? Okay, perhaps I have a winning personality too. Let's talk to John Davenport. What do you take of this field and how it's shaping up, John?
Well, I do think that Huckabee is sincere. He comes across as authentic. That's exactly right. He occupies a kind of an interesting niche among the candidates in that at least he's traditionally been portrayed as, well, conservative on family values issues, obviously abortion, especially gay marriage issues. He's supposedly a little bit more liberal on economic issues, a little bit more on the side of the poor, if you will. But like in the last time he ran, 2008, he's very strongly promoting the fair tax, as it's called, which would be a national sales tax in effect. And that now, according to the latest analyses, it might help the very bottom a little bit if you ignore them losing, say, the earned income tax credit, and it would help people earning over $200,000. So his credentials on that, I don't think are very strong. Nevertheless, I agree. I mean, he polls very well in Iowa. He could take all the evangelical vote. Yeah, he's very strong in the heartland, so he could win.
Let's talk about Carly Fiorina,
yes.
If I can switch for a little bit. Why is it that conservative women are vilified and liberal women are heralded as the next best thing since sliced bread?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like Carly Fiorina. She certainly is very interesting as another woman running for president, and as a very strong contrast to Hillary Clinton. She has a record of being a chief executive at HP, where I think
she has a record. That's a neutral term. She has a horrible record at HP, as far as I know. I mean, she almost took HP out of the play.
And she's taking a lot of criticism for that, and she's got to own that record. But what I think Carly Fiorina has as her biggest negative is that she just doesn't have a base, right? I mean, she ran for U.S. Senate in 2010 in California and lost by 10 points in a very strong Republican year.
Did you see her interview with Katy Perry? Katie Couric.
And it would be more interesting with Katy Perry.
They could sing together.
Yeah,
he
I mean,
made mince meat out of Katie Couric.
Yeah.
So if you can do that, I'd say more power to you.
Look, I think she's a very strong personality. I think she adds a lot to this field, but I don't think she's someone who we can expect to win the nomination. I think she's doing this as a springboard for other professional, opportunities.
As so many people are now.
Right, like Mike Huckabee. And
Right.
That's what I think that people are doing,
right.
Dr. Rossi, and we'll get to you in a second, John. I think they're feathering their nests.
I think she's running for VP.
Well,
I really
was gonna
do.
say.
I think she's running for VP, and I think that it's really her table to run, because if she does well, she's going to be thought of as a VP candidate. And that's what she's aspiring to, and I think she has a chance of that. I'm just not sure about her personality. I just don't know where she is yet. I think that it's going to play out, and we're going to have some fun finding out.
yeah, I mean, we have a dozen candidates so far potentially
Is
running
it
for
tougher,
president.
John, to have a winning personality as a woman than it is for a man? Because if a woman is strong, she is perceived sometimes as abrasive or aggressive, whereas a man is considered strong.
Yes, women can't win on that. Either way they lose. It's really unfair. I think Hillary's going to have the same problem. But I will say that Carly Fiorina, I think, would be an excellent VP candidate for pretty much whoever is running for president on the Republican side.
John, here's my prediction.
She'd be great,
Hillary Clinton's not going to get the nomination.
Really?
Even though she's largely unopposed. With Clinton cash scandals, with
maybe.
Clinton Foundation scandals, with Benghazi scandals,
Yeah, that's a problem.
with a track record of disgrace, I think that she's not going to get out of the box. I think you were saying that she's not polling well in Iowa, and I think that's the reason why.
She's not
New
polling well
Hampshire.
anywhere.
And if she's weak in some of these starting states, it's a big problem. I just don't see who else really. If Elizabeth Warren doesn't run, if some other popular governor, who? It doesn't look like anyone really is going to be a strong contender.
Well, they
against
might
her.
have to step out of the shadows.
Yeah, I think, look, if you look at Hillary Clinton's polls in a recent poll that just came out this week, she's dropped 6 points in her favorability ratings in just a month. And I think only about a quarter of American voters consider her honest and straightforward. That's very bad news. Her name recognition is up at 100% right now, and I think it's just going to get worse.
Somebody's got to pay the bills.
Yeah, bills.
$100,000 on my speech. Does she have a winning personality, Doctor?
She has a very winning personality,
Really?
and I disagree with
Hillary?
with you guys, because she's very comfortable in who she is. She's going to present herself extremely well. I think she presented herself very well in 2008. She lost to somebody who was quite spectacular. That was Obama. But she did present herself well. Some people criticize her. She's a winning personality in a lot of ways, and I don't go with the polling right now. I don't think that matters too much. Most people are going to like her. They're going to like how she presents herself on the issues, and the issues are not going to define her. How she defines herself and her personality vis-a-vis the issues is going to be the call of the day, and that's why I think she's going to be a winner.
Why doesn't she stand up and defend herself? She's being attacked right now from the left and the right. Stand up and make a statement that I didn't do anything wrong with the foundation.
Well, I think she will, but the foundation thing, I think there's legitimate criticism when it comes to money. That's for sure. But what gets me is when Republicans are criticizing Democrats for money, and you've got Sheldon Adelson and all these billionaires pulling millions and millions, and you don't even know who some of the donors are. That's ridiculous. It's hypocritical.
Yeah, I think Hillary could, maybe one of the best things she could do on those issues would be to come out and take a strong stand for campaign finance reform. Even say, look, here's a constitutional amendment I would support to try to deal with these problems. She should get Lawrence Lessig at Harvard on her team.
But we also forgot about the email scandal as well. There's so many scandals.
It's Clinton and scandal.
Yet.
That's the American lexicon. When you think of Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, you think of the latest Clinton Foundation scandal. You think of the email scandals. You think of Benghazi. And I just
don't
see.
Jennifer Flowers, and you think about the laundry
Vince
list of
Foster.
women that Bill Clinton was with, and that he was impeached, and that he was disbarred.
No, she keeps reinforcing the narrative.
And her right-hand woman is Wiener's wife, and when you think of Wiener, you think of Slick Willie. Right?
But, which actually, could refer to Bill as well.
Yes.
But I wouldn't underestimate Bill Clinton. He may at the moment be harming her candidacy a little bit, but in the long run, Bill also still has some personality appeal. I mean, he's a
Yeah, but he's
very
not on the
good
ticket.
candidate.
He's not
He's
quick
not
on
on
his
the
feet
ticket.
anymore.
He's going to
Wow.
campaign
He
for
lost some
her.
brain
He's-
cells when he underwent that surgery.
That may be true, but he's
Wow.
going to
Yeah, he's
campaign for
slow.
her like
Look,
a
Hillary's got a
dogfight,
problem.
you
He
know.
said, I never did anything unknowingly wrong.
Unknowingly.
And he said it so slow. Let's talk
not
about Ben
quite the
Carson
same.
quickly. John, what about Ben Carson? Is he a talk show radio creation?
He, to me, is the weakest of all the Republican candidates. I know that polling doesn't quite agree with that. I just think he's not well spoken. He's going to get destroyed on questions related to science and evolution. It's really shocking.
Which is
that
funny
a
because
guy-
he's a
Yeah.
doctor.
Right, exactly. That's what I was going to say. To come out of a science background and to be making these claims, to me, he really looks like someone who completely lacks the experience to be in this kind of role. I don't even see him getting a nod for a VP slot, which might be his best shot, although that could help a candidate.
Yeah, I agree. He's the dark horse of the race. I think where Ben Carson's strength lies is when he's been so vocally opposed to President Obama on the Affordable Health Care Act. And I think that's, that was his niche. He's going to continue to campaign on that, but I think it's
But
it's a
the
long
problem
shot.
is the Affordable Health Care Act is here. And as
Right.
President Obama said, the sun still rises, the
Right.
birds still chirp. My plan is more expensive. I can still kind of choose my doctor. It hasn't been the end of the world as predicted.
And there's a
Right.
lot of pluses in Obamacare too that Republicans don't want to talk about. But with Ben Carson, I agree. He's a problem person to me because I think he's angry. He comes across as being rather angry and nasty at times, and I don't think that's a winner. I don't think that works.
He sounds like Rush Limbaugh. He sounds like Mark Levin. He sounds like any of those talk show guys who have a few points that panders to a certain segment of the right and is able to score points, but is not going to win in a broad election.
gonna
God
win.
forbid you win during a primary when the ultra-right does have more of a voice, though.
If I might add, Mike Huckabee also, on his webpage, it's very clear, opposed to Obamacare all the way. I think this issue is going to hurt Republicans in the general election. I really do. I think it's come to the point where too many people are relying on, the Democratic candidate is going to say, here are 3 fixes I would put out, X, Y, and Z, to help bend the cost curve down in the long run, to provide more choice for doctors, to fix some of the things that weren't perfect with the law. Maybe they could offer, a 50-state system of insurance choice rather than just, state by state.
That's true because there are
Yeah.
many positives with Obamacare. For example, I'm included.
Right.
Mental health is included expansively. And that's a
Exactly.
good thing. And there's other things that are in there, but you don't hear that from the right. They just want to criticize the president because they get points for that with their base.
But like I said, I think that's going away because I think we
Yeah.
live in an economy now where so many people are freelance employees or are entrepreneurs or are walking 1099s that they better get their health care from somewhere, right?
Right.
Right.
Jeanette,
100%.
what about the big man, Chris Christie?
We'll see. It looks like he's running, right? I mean, he's in
Well,
New
he's huffing and
Hampshire
puffing and
and,
sweating. I don't
and
know if that's
Iowa.
right.
Yeah, well, look,
teasing.
he's in New Hampshire more than he is in New Jersey at this point, and he's talking about entitlement reform as being, his claim to fame and solving the pension problem in New Jersey. But when you look at what's going on in New Jersey, it's
But
kind of a mess.
his first issue out of the box was Social Security
Yes.
and how people making
Yeah.
more than 80 grand a year don't deserve it. People have been paying in their whole lives and expecting this token
That was
of money.
a bold move.
It was a bold move, but I think it was a foolish move.
Well, and if
because
you
you've
look
got
at
people who are against it. If you paid in for it, it's not welfare, it's not charity, it's something you invested in, you should get it back.
But I think that was an appeal to the younger generations, right? I mean, people in their 20s and 30s, they don't think Social Security or Medicare are going to be there for them. So I think that's who he was talking to with that. But then you look at some other Republican candidates like Mike Huckabee, he's pledging to make sure that Social Security and Medicare are protected, and that really plays well with older Americans.
We have 30 seconds for each as we wrap up this segment. 30 seconds on the 2016 campaign so far.
Christie went to arrogant. He went from bold and decisive to arrogant and abrasive, and he's not going to be a winner.
Losing personality?
Now he has a very losing personality.
There we go. I'm going to call up
can't
Dr.
underestimate
Rossi
him.
from now on whenever I have a question, buddy. Winning personality or losing personality? Okay, good.
He's a loser.
You should work for campaign. I agree. I don't think he has a chance, and I'm glad to say that as a Democrat because I think he might have been their strongest candidate in the presidential race.
I view him as a Democrat, though. He's not a Republican.
Well, he's he's more towards the middle, and for that reason would have run better in a general election. But I mean, if you lose older Americans by these kinds of statements on Social Security, you're dead in the water. You're never going to get the Republican nomination. And moreover, once people start to attack him on his record in New Jersey, I mean, he's suing, to try to undo the deal which he's tried to break again and again on the pensions in New Jersey. So he's not, I mean, he's going to get criticized as not being a man of his word.
Yeah, but you can't count him out. I mean, Chris Christie is so good on the stump, into places like New Hampshire and Iowa where they expect to meet these candidates in person. I think that's his strength, is his charisma.
So charisma, so far as he's not challenged. When he's challenged, he's mean and nasty and a fat head.
If he yells at someone
that's what
in
I think.
Iowa, that's it.
Okay, that's it for politics on this edition of Fresh Outlook. But when we come back, an offensive contest that is designed to provoke outrage leads to bloodshed. More on that after this.